everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and Happy New Year. This year is going to be an awesome season of Heart to Heart. Why? Because I am going to have awesome guests, awesome ideas, great energy, and most of all, positivity all year long. Today, my guest, a beautiful and awesome lady. She has inspired so many members. She works hard, lost a very good amount of weight as well. So please help me to welcome Miss Ethel Gathers. Woo! Miss Ethel, come on in. Hello. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, yay, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you don't understand. I've been wanting to have this lady on this show for a while. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So first, let's start.
Okay.
Do you mind to tell these beautiful people how old you are?
She would start with that question. Yes. On November 15th of last year, I turned 67 years old.
Oh,
I am 67.
My gosh, guys, 67 years old. And honestly, I have to say wow, because it's not even 67 years old. It's 67 years young. That's what she is. And I have to admit, you are to me such an inspiration. And really, how can I say this? When I think about aging gracefully, you are now my picture. You're honestly now my picture of aging gracefully. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know that you've lost, I think, around 41 pounds. Am I correct?
41 pounds.
41 pounds. How does that feel to be 41 pounds?
It feels great. It feels great. I really didn't think that I could do it within a short period of time. Well, about 6 months. And I did it. And I feel great. It's just amazing, to use your word.
It's amazing.
It feels good. It feels good. I can fit in some clothing that I had shoved in the back of the closet. I can shop in smaller sizes now, and I feel good. My energy level has gone up, and it's just a great feeling. I feel great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I would like to know this. Last year, when you started, you were 66 years old at the time.
Yes.
41 pound heavier.
Yes.
What have triggered you to want to start that fitness journey at 66 years old versus 5 years younger, maybe even a decade younger?
I was inspired by one of my coworkers. Number one, I was overweight, and I was not satisfied with my weight. Because that's the heaviest, 192 pounds was the heaviest I had ever weighed in my life. And I said, that's too close to 200. I didn't even weigh that when I was having babies. And my baby is 31 years old now. So that was the heaviest I had ever been in my life. I shared with you once before that I had been in the military for a little over 20 years. And I never weighed 192 pounds. And I got upset with myself. I was not satisfied with myself. And then one of my coworkers, I don't know if I can call her name, but I saw her going through this transformation. And I asked her, how was she doing it? Because I was the one that would diet and lose weight, get off the diet and gain it back, go back on a diet and lose weight, get back on. And it was a roller coaster ride. So I asked her, how was she losing that weight and how was she looking so great? And she, my coworker, introduced me to the San Antonio Fit Body Transformation Center. She told me all about it. She told me all about you. And I said, do you think I can do that? She says, I know you can. When she said, I know you can, because I was concerned, I was 66 years old. And when she explained the program to me, that it was rigorous and physical and all the stuff that you do, I said, I don't know if I could do that. She said, Miss Ethel, she said, you can do that, because we had been on several trips together, and I'm the one that was climbing mountains and going down and running. So she had confidence that I could do it, and so she brought me here.
And I'm very happy that you made that decision. And I have to admit, at first I was quite hesitant to accept. That's true. I was reading, her application, and I was like, no, she's 66 years old, But I was very happy because when we first met, I knew, first of all, your energy was great, obviously. So you're such a a radiant lady. But I knew that she had what it took to go through those workouts. So
Yes.
thank you so much for that. Also, what I would like to talk about is a little bit more personal subject. Me and Miss Ethel talked a few weeks back, and what we talked about was she confided in me that the last few years have been kind of chaotic, kind of difficult emotionally, because she has lost her husband to diabetes. And when at the time when we mentioned, I mentioned to her, it would be great for her to share her story because so many people, unfortunately, that I come across go through that, either themselves or they know someone. So either a spouse, family member, parents, siblings, own children. So what I would like you to let us know is how did it all started with him at the time?
Mm-hmm. First of all, my husband, I would like to say he was kind of genetically prone. His mom passed away of diabetes. His grandmother passed away of diabetes. His grandmother's had both legs cut off in her 80s. And he was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 45. At first, he took charge of it. He changed his eating habits. He started walking. And I started right along with him because we wanted to fight this dreadful disease. They started him on medication. He started taking medications. They prescribed metformin and then another med and then another med. And over the span of 20 years, because he lived 20 years after having been diagnosed with diabetes, over the span of 20 years, he went from medications to insulin. And then from insulin, in his latter years, they wanted to introduce dialysis to him, to which he refused. He said, his exact words were, I'm not going to go and I don't want to go and get the life sucked out of me and return when I'm through. His whole thing was quality of life. He wants quality of life. And he chose quality of life. He chose not to go through dialysis. So, as I said, he lived with diabetes for 20 years, but in the latter years, his kidneys, my husband passed away of kidney failure and sepsis, because that's what happens after prolonged usage of medication, and one thing just led to another, and at the age of 66, he passed away of end-stage renal disease and sepsis.
So at the age is very coincidental, because at the age that you started your journey, at 66 years old, that's the age that he passed.
His journey was over, yes.
And like you've mentioned, he decided, I didn't want to do dialysis.
Yes.
Were you yourself okay with that decision at the time?
I was not, because I didn't want to lose him. I wanted to keep him here forever and ever. And I had a glimpse of hope that if he did do dialysis, perhaps he would be here longer. But then that's not always the case with everyone. And on the other hand, I had to respect his decision. He had a living will. He told me what to do. He told me what he didn't want and what he wanted. And so even though I wanted to keep him here forever and ever, I respected his decision about his life. And that's the way he chose to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
And at that time, you taking care of him, how were you able to take care of yourself at the time?
It was not easy. It was not easy. I'm grateful for a church. It's a support system. And I come from a large family of 12. It's 9 of us now. That's a strong support system. And my co-workers, that's a strong support system. So I'm thankful that I had those support systems to help me through. But in his latter years, I was working, but I had to take so much time off of my job because in his latter years, he couldn't drive anymore because the diabetes had affected his vision. So I just made a conscious decision that I would resign from a job that I had worked on. I had served 20 years in the military, and I had worked for the county and state for 17 years. So I decided I am needed in my home, because it was just me and him and me. And all the kids were grown and on their own, so it was just him and me. And he needed me. So I made a conscious decision to resign from my job and to stay at home with him. And that helped him a lot, and it helped me a lot, because it wasn't running back and forth, back and forth. And I took care of the immediate needs the best that I could have.
And I know right now people are relating so much to your story, because again, so many people go through what you've been through. And I think that sometimes they wonder, how can I help the person in need right now, the person who's been diagnosed with diabetes? And you've mentioned church, co-workers, family members, to make sure that you guys are always having a good support system, because when it's only yourself who has to take care of that person, it can take a toll on you.
It can, and it could be very, very draining on the caretaker. But one thing that his doctor said to me, I'll never forget, because it helped me to assist him in his latter years, well, throughout the stages, throughout the years of him being diabetic. She said, don't look at the person, or don't blame the person for what is going on. It's the disease. It's not the person. In other words, she was trying to teach me to separate the person from the disease. Because sometimes I would get agitated, I'd get frustrated, because there were days where he didn't want to take his medication, or he didn't want me to give him insulin. I would cook his meals, and he didn't want that meal. He wanted cake, or he wanted rice and gravy. He wanted the things that was not good for him. And I had gone with him to training. We had classes in diabetes, and I became his nurse. I had to do the finger stick and monitor his glucose level and do his blood pressure checks, and I learned a lot. But on the days that he would not cooperate with me, I found myself getting upset. And, and when I would tell it to his doctor, and she said, don't look at the person. Don't look at the person. It's the disease. So somehow I trained myself to separate the person from the disease, because I couldn't relate, because I've never lived that. I didn't know, what he was going through. I just saw him sometimes as being non-cooperative, and it was frustrating. But I was able to retreat. I learned to retreat and give him his space. And then, when he calmed down, then I could, and I learned also that I don't have to do a finger stick right this minute. Just go away, retreat, go away, pull back, and let him get himself together. And then when he was ready, I could come back maybe a half hour later, and he says, okay.
Okay, so he himself, like you said, had his space, kind of calmed down, and was willing or ready to receive the medication.
Because it was very, diabetes can be, it takes a toll on you, and it's very frustrating, not only to the caretaker, but to the person that's going through it. So many times I try to put myself in his shoes. I wouldn't want to be stuck, and I had to do blood sugar readings, because I had to do the recordings, 3 times a day. Before and after meals, and some days he just didn't want to, and I began to understand that. Don't push them further than they're able to go, or that they desire to go at the time. Just pull back, and it'll be okay. So it takes a lot of self-talk.
I'm sure.
To leave and go in my room and close the door. Okay, and I had to calm down, because two frustrating people, it's not.
It doesn't
good.
work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yes.
Okay, thank you for sharing that part.
Yes,
I really appreciate that. And again, you guys are able to relate and know now, if you are a caretaker of someone who suffers from diabetes, that sometimes you have to give them their space. So like this, not only yourself, but that person is frustrated. You guys have to be there to support one another.
Exactly.
And yes, you will have time that I want you to eat this. I don't want you to eat the cake,
Yes.
But eventually everything's going to be just fine. You, like you say, you go in your room, scream a little bit, come back, and then the person is willing and ready to receive their medication.
Yes.
You've mentioned that your children were long gone by that time. So if he was for 20 years, how old, I guess, was the youngest children?
But he was
at the beginning of his diagnosis.
Good question. My youngest daughter was still in high school. The other three, I had two kids in college at one time, and the other, three really, in college, and the younger one was at home. But she didn't really understand. She was into track and volleyball and you name it, gymnastics and everything. So she wasn't she wasn't consumed with the disease of diabetes. And I never really engaged her because I wanted her to live her life, live the high school days, enjoy your high school days, and I'll handle this.
Okay, so that was actually my next question of wondering how they took the diagnosis, but like you said, they were active, not really into that. What about the older ones?
The older ones were quite understanding, and I would say the younger one, the one that was at home, even though I didn't involve her much with taking care of him. If I had to run to the store or what have you, then she would stay with him. And one day she said to me, what if he starts going into his other character while you're gone? Because diabetes weighs on the brain. You have early stage dementia, and she was really afraid. And so for that reason, I never really left her with him for long periods. Some days he was perfect, but he was frustrated because he knew that he was losing his memory. He recognized that, and it was frustrating to him. Because if he would try to pronounce a word and the word just wouldn't come, it would frustrate him. Or if we do that now, put your keys down and you can't find your keys. Everything became frustrating to him because he associated it with early stage dementia. So for that reason, I didn't leave her at home with him much because she was afraid she wouldn't know what to do. So we were just connected together. I was there and, did the best with the situation.
Okay. What would you say to someone who's right now is going through what you went through, which means they may have quit their job, become a caretaker for their husband or their wife or family members, in terms of for them to be able to keep their cool, attempt to be as positive as they can? What would you tell that person right now?
The same thing that the doctor told me, that try not to look so much upon his behavior, but understand that it's the disease, and then take time for yourself. If you've got to do breathing exercises, if you've got to go walking, if you've got a treadmill at home, get on it and walk it. Try to do some fun things. When I quit my job, my husband and I did a lot of fun things, like driving in the countryside, going to a movie, going out going out to eat. Try to do fun things, engage with him, because I found that the more you engage with him, the less episodes of early stage dementia was visible. He would remember things more. So take time for yourself. Eat right. I wish I had known what I know now about eating right. I wish I had known that then, because eating right and getting proper rest and exercising, that's taking care of yourself. Meditate, pray, go to church. That's a big outlet for me. I pray a lot. I give God, I'm not trying to sound like a fanatic or anything, but it's my way of life. I give him problems that I can't handle, and I'm honest with myself. He already knows where we are anyway, and I'm honest with myself. I can't do this. I need your strength. Wherever you're going to pull your strength from, find an avenue, find a source to get your strength from. And find things that relaxes you. Some people relax by reading. I don't. Reading doesn't relax me. But if reading relaxes you, in your spare time, read. Take care of yourself while you take care of the caretaker. Because, the patient, because they need you. They need you. And if you're not well, you can't help another. You
You're
can't
not
help
able
them
to.
if they're not well, if you're not well.
So you've mentioned, kind of go back a little bit. You've mentioned you weighed at one time 191. Which is
192.
192.
Yes.
Sorry. 192. So was it towards the end of his time that you started to really gain the weight, or not even? It's not even related.
No, it's not even related. It's just not. When I was in the military, I exercised a lot. But when I got out of the military, I continued to exercise, but not as much and not as long. And I continued to eat, the improper foods or the non-nutritional foods. And that puts weight on you. And, it's gradual. Weight gain is just not readily seen overnight. It's gradual. You start finding your clothes fitting you. You're in a 9, and then you're in a 10, then an 11, and then and it is just gradual, and it just keeps climbing. And I can't really associate it with any particular thing. It is not. I can't say that it was depression or I was just hungry, or it's just snacking, eating late at night. It was just a habits, eating late at night, or just snacking continuously during the day, and if you're not exercising, I wasn't as active as I was in the military, then, hey, it just sticks around. It just stays. It stays. You have to work at it. I didn't have a problem when I was active because, energy. Burn the energy, use a lot of energy. But when you stop using so much energy and your eating habits don't change, you continue to eat, but now you're not burning as much energy, it'll stay with you,
So let me ask you this then. Because you were in the military, exercising a lot, that means at that time the food was not correct. Am I understanding correctly?
I did not make the best choices.
Okay.
I did not make the best choices. Of course, there's healthy food in the military, but I love desserts. I love starches.
Loved.
I
love
gravies, and growing up I grew up on a farm. I think I shared this once before, when we just ate a lot of different foods, but then we ate a lot of raw vegetables too, So
and you were working hard too.
Yes, working hard, eating vegetables and eating right. Weight was never a problem, never. It's when I stopped working hard and stopped exercising and didn't change my eating habit, then the weight came and visited me and didn't want to leave.
Okay. So how did you and your husband basically raise your children, in a sense that, was it very active? You mentioned that the smallest one was in track. So was it all of their life they've been into sport and they were very active, or was it more of a sedentary lifestyle?
It was more sedentary. I cooked everything. And as I shared earlier, I loved all foods. I loved starches. I cooked starches. I cooked. I baked. My daughters were in brownies and Girl Scouts, and so we did a lot of baking. And so whatever I cooked, they ate, and I always fixed salads, always gave them vegetables, but then I cooked everything else too, so they grew up eating, like the average child. You eat what mom puts on the table. And so if mom is putting a bunch of calories on the table, then they're consuming a lot of calories. But when you're young, you tend to burn the calories faster. And so it wasn't too much of a problem for them, except the 2 middle girls suffered with weight problems. But now, their lifestyle is dieting. But since I have been at the San Antonio Fit Body Transformation Center, and they have recognized that my eating habits have changed. They are very, very interesting, and they have changed some of their eating habits. Now, they're not there 100%, but they're going to get there one day. Mm-hmm.
Does that make you proud to know that at 67 years young, you're able to still have a great impact on your children, to make them take good decisions?
Yes. I'm very close to my daughters, and I have 2 stepsons also, but they live in Georgia. I'm very close to them, and they can share anything with me, or they share with each other, depending on what the subject is. But for matters of health, life, they definitely listen to me, and they're proud of me. They're very proud of me. They tell other people about me. And so I'm trying to get them on board, and one of them will be starting.
Yay.
Soon. One of them will coming on board.
And let me ask you this, with the two middle ones, what do you think could have been done differently maybe in regards of their health and the decision in terms of food?
I think more exercise. They didn't exercise as much as the youngest daughter did. And my husband was 6'3", and he's got 3 sisters that are 6 feet. He just comes from a big family, and so the 2 middle girls are tall. They're all taller than me and big boned. So they were going to be big and tall anyway. But there's a difference between big and tall and just obese, or the ugly 3-letter word that starts with an F and ends with a T. There's a difference. So what could have been done differently? Definitely better choices in food. If you're already having a problem with losing weight, or having a problem with maintaining proper weight, and you're eating the wrong foods, then you're working against yourself.
Yeah.
And I could recall when they were in middle school, I used to prepare their lunches so that they can take to school. And when I saw that they were just getting, larger and larger, I started preparing salads. Now, for a person to benefit from that, they've got to have buy-in in what you're trying to do for them. They got to the point where, why are you fixing salad? We're tired of salads, and so, it's as effective as the one who wants to cooperate with you. They have to cooperate. But I know that there was a problem, even in middle school. Now they're in their 30s, 32, 34, and they recognize that they want to, and I think I inspire them. I really do. They recognize that they want to do something about their weight, and they're cooking differently now. Maybe because I tell them, they're into olive oil now instead of they've changed the choices of oil. They've changed, just the type of meats that they buy. Not no fatty meats, but the lean meats. So they're changing their style, but it takes a while. It's not that easy, but it takes determination.
Yes.
You've got to want to do it. Once you recognize that this is good for you, this is the best for you, you've got to want it, and then it's just as effective as can be.
And it's true, no one is able to do it for you, but I think the fact that they have you as an example, again, you're 67 years young, and they have you and be like, you know what, if my mother, can change her way of doing, why not me?
Yes.
What do other ladies who are around your same age say about your success?
Well, 2 of the ladies in your program, I'm not gonna call your name, but you know who you are. She said, if Ethel can do this, I can do it. And some of the ladies that attend the training center here, they have gone home and they've encouraged their mothers to try to come and join the center. And the mothers say, I'm too old for that. That's for you all. I can't do that. And so they use me as an example. Mom, there's this lady, they really blessed me. They said, this lady is 64 years old, and I had to correct them. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm not 64, I'm 67. Mom is this lady, and she comes to the gym. You can do it. She's doing it, you can do it. So that makes me feel good. It's a good feeling that people are bouncing off of me, to try to get others to come on board. And it's really all about living your best life, having the best health we have enough challenges in this world, with the air we breathe and the water we drink, everything. We have enough challenges. So it's up to us to do the best that we can do to promote the better health.
And I like that. And I know even earlier you've mentioned the quality of life. So because there is people who are 67 years young, and unfortunately they look 80. because, and don't get me wrong, they may have had a hard life in itself, but they have not really taken care of themselves, and it shows. Versus someone like you, like I said, like you are my inspiration, without a doubt, honestly, because it's like when I grew up, I want to be like this, because. Again, you took care of yourself. You've seen there was a problem, and you did not blame anyone else. You did not blame the circumstances. You decided, what? Let me take care of that problem.
That was all on me. I owned it. Girl, you're messing up. You're not eating right. You're getting bigger and bigger. You can't fit your clothes. You can't even walk long distances. And I said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I can do better. And I want to say also, Martine, before we go, since I have been at the fitness center, I was about 5 years ago. They were diagnosing me as borderline diabetic and wanting to start me on the diabetes medication regimen. And I remembered how my husband lived, and I remembered what I went through with him, and I said, Lord, I don't want to go through that. I've got to do something. So I want to say, since I've been in the fitness center, my blood glucose is perfect, my cholesterol is perfect, the weight loss. My doctor just marveled. She said, Miss Gathers, what happened? How did you do this? And I told her about the training center, and I told her about my change in diet. And she was most proud. She was so proud. She says, keep up whatever you're doing. You keep it up.
And that's so amazing. Exactly. To know that your levels were way higher, about to be medicated, exactly, out of control, to now after a few months only, it's not even been a year yet, to a few months only, out of these things have changed. That's why I said you are an inspiration to anyone, not only people of your group age, but anyone who's younger and who's watching right now and they're like, you know what, I do want to start working out, but I am too old. No, you're not too old. She's 67 years young, and she's doing push-ups, she's squatting, and she does all of those things. Like, think about it, she can do them all, and sometimes with better than people who are younger than her. So it's so awesome. Like, that's why, like, to me, it was truly, I almost want to say a dream come true, because I want to help as much people as I can, and to be able to have the opportunity to have you accepting my invitation, go and do everything that you need to do, and now knowing that you're 41 pounds down, your doctor is super happy.
Very much so.
I know that I've done my job. You continue to be blessed. You continue to inspire your own daughters and everyone else. I'm not able to ask for more.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come here and be part of this great work.
Let's hug. Yay! Thank you. So guys, you want to contact me, please do so. The information is written down on the screen. You can contact me via Facebook. You can contact me via Instagram, via YouTube, and you can also call me. You are interested into wanting to talk to Miss Ethel and tell her, yay, good job. Hey, when we're going to post the video, just say how great she look and how awesome she is. But guys, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to change the world 1% at a time. With that being said, I'm out. Thank you.
You just feel better. The only soreness I have now in my life is from exercise.
That's the thing. That's the only soreness. No more soreness.
I call it the Martine syndrome.
What is the Martine syndrome?
The soreness after
being
the
sore.
work. Martinitis.
Like this and
Martinitis. Martinitis.
Oh, I have a muscle there.
Martinitis. That's gonna be interesting.